Good morning from Panama. It's a beautiful morning, a little bit of rain. So today there's just a few things I want to talk about. I'll try not to be. I want to talk a little bit about frontal temporal lobe dementia, what that means. My idea, because I worked with dementia, that was my specialty for some odd, well, if you go back to 1984 when I started my nursing career to now, because nurses, true nurses, never ever stop learning. That it's an ongoing thing that you do, kind of like what science is supposed to be, that you're constantly pushing things, looking at things, and making understanding using a critical mind that can connect dots, which seems to be really lacking in our current culture. So, just a couple of stories that I read this morning. I actually shared them on Facebook already. Canada, your gas is going up 21 cents today. When do you get sick of being fucking raped? When do you get sick? When do you have to do something? This is all, if you had done something when COVID hit, if you hadn't have been so compliant just to get on a plane or do this or that, we wouldn't be here. But people continue to comply and think that their governments really care. No, they're trying to destroy you, and they're doing a bloody good job. Elbows up. United States isn't your enemy. Nobody else is your enemy except maybe yourself and your government, right? If you cannot open your eyes and look at what's happening, you live on so much natural gas and oil and resources that they're going to steal from you. And they're going to steal from you this thing I talked a little bit about in British Columbia. You know about the fires on the East Coast, but British Columbia is under this UN Indigenous sort of clause where they're going to give all private land back to the Indigenous people because you bad humans now are the problem. No, we're not. None of it is. We're not the problem. Get rid of that idea that has been encoded in you since birth, that there's some kind of flaw in you and you created all this. By God, you better bend down and take it and give it all back, right? And I'm not upset with the Indigenous people. You see how Indigenous people live on reservations, in most reservations, and the alcoholism and the mind control and torture and how they've been treated. I get it, but it's not Indigenous, white, Indian, whatever. It's none of that. It's your governments. They're the enemy. It's not your other people here, but they're making you believe that. Also in BC, they're doing an accounting of all the people that have wood stoves, and you've got until September 15th. And don't think that it's just they have different test sites. Canada is a big test site, right? They're going down first. But the rest of the world is headed to the exact same place as Canada. But Canada is such a docile population. They've been poisoning us and mind controlling us for what, 100, forever since we got there, right? And another thing that this goes in with the technocratic because what you're seeing in Canada is technocracy. You're seeing it everywhere. Social engineering, right? Another one of their big things. I mean, didn't, Kennedy Jr. say this? Wearables, 4 years, everybody will have them. And it's not for your health. None of it is for your health. Look around. They made everybody unhealthy. And in this abnormal world that we're in after what they did in 2020, right? It's not normal. The way we're living is not how human beings should be living, right? So they want to put chips in you, and not even chips. They don't really even need to anymore. With electromagnetic frequencies, I have a good book coming today. I'm going to go get it. And I'll share some insights about all this, what they're doing up in the ionosphere and what they do with electromagnetic frequencies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? But this particular one I saw was for sleep apnea, right? Which if you're overweight or your muscle tuber is shitty or you're doing lots of, the coffee in the morning and the fucking drink at night and the weed and the fucking antidepressant and the anti-anxiety drug and you're probably doing a statin and, you're on 5 at least fucking medications. That's why you can't breathe right, right? And also, you're not using your fucking lungs for anything. You're just sitting on your ass doing nothing. Most people. Or you're going to the gym and poking your shit with steroids and Ozempic. This is North America. And I have one more thing to say, just in my little updates, about pediatricians, the most fucking disgusting monsters out there. And the North American sort of oversight council for pediatricians has decided that they're going to sue the government in the United States because they're not making it mandatory to fucking dose your kid with babies with COVID. That's a pediatrician. And if you think they're doing it for the good of your child, you'd be dead wrong. They're doing it because that's their income. These guys think they're goddamn rock stars. Everybody just, oh, it's a doctor. Oh, they're just wonderful. They have so much education. No, that's propaganda. To be uh, fucking handmaidens to the fucking pharmaceutical companies. And if you were to trail this back to the fucking Nazi era, which they're still around, Canada, in my mind, is the Fourth Reich, right? Those it was doctors, public health, and nurses that killed German people, gypsies, that euthanized people because it was eugenics. The same thing that's now happening everywhere is eugenics. Transhumanism is eugenics. Wake up, wake up and see it. It is really happening. So I read something, and I've been seeing a lot. You're seeing a lot on dementia and murder, by the way. Murder, 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 murder. I have a serial killer. You see repetition? They're doing something. They're increasing the likelihood that people will murder because they're normalizing it, because you're seeing it in the headlines. And remember, in your subconscious mind, this repetition means everybody's murdering. So murdering must be okay. It must be what the tribe is doing. It's all mind control. Every last ounce of it is to speak to your subconscious mind. And if you cannot see it and don't know it or pretend it's not real, you will start to be swayed by this and you will do things and think that it's just your original thought when it isn't. You are actually behaving related to programs that were put into you that you didn't even know were put there. So a big program in North American countries, here too, to a degree, coffee, great coffee and cerveza and drinking, but nothing like Canada. I have to say, having been a drunk, I was an alcoholic from, I don't know, I started drinking when I was 10. I used to steal it from my father because he was a raging alcoholic, and I hated it. I hated alcohol. I used to dump his booze out. And it was almost like in my mind, because monkey see, monkey do, even though I hated it, I became it. So, how do you think that that translated in how I felt about myself? If I hated alcohol and I hated the way that people behaved when they were on alcohol, but yet I, because of the programming, started to drink at 10. At 12, I could get into a liquor store. I drank every weekend. I drank anytime I could. I used to skip off high school, take, pocket change, right? And go down to the bar and drink beer. So I started drinking very, very early. And it was sold as it's just as fun. This is rebellion. This is partying. This is what everybody does. But yet there would be times when I would have to just not drink for a weekend. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the person that I'd become, but I just became more and more and more asleep. And it is, as I said, insidious. I've said this before. Alcohol or any drug is insidious. You start using it a little bit and then it just grows and grows and grows. And what happens is self denial because that's programmed into you too. Oh, well, everybody's doing it. There's nothing wrong with it. And of course, on your little handheld gadget that has algorithms to capture you, it's giving you all that information, right? That having a spritzer isn't really alcohol. It's got wine in it. Wine is alcohol. That beer is really not. It's just beer. Everybody drinks beer. I used to drink beer all the time. I was like 325 pounds, right? With the 2 packs of cigarettes. Because, cigarettes don't kill you either. They do. All of them do. They all, along with the coffee and the wheat, the drugs that you get from your doctor, the drugs that you get, the over-the-counter drugs, and I've said this over hippocampus, frontal lobes. That's what temporal frontal lobe dementia is. That this is burnt out, it doesn't turn back on again. The blood flow has been so lost to that area. It's a behavioral lifestyle thing. And the same with the hippocampus, that they're now pretty much dead. And if you've ever seen, and I have, you get it younger people get it. The youngest guy I saw, I'm sure you're seeing it. Well, actually, I saw in the 40s. The person was like 43, heavy alcohol and drug use. I had one guy that I saw, he was actually an undercover cop. And of course, you're doing the shit. You're an undercover cop. He had full on. He was going to kill his wife because he was living in the past. He didn't know that was his wife. He knew nothing. They are probably the most, what can I say, unpredictable group of people, right? Because it presents as almost like a psychiatric feature, right? They're very paranoid, very aggressive, very violent. They're back in another time. They're living in a completely different world, right? Because hippocampus, right? Your memory center, your autobiographical memory, right? Where new neurons are produced every night is not functioning. You got two of them. And the frontal lobe, which is the CEO of your brain, the executive functioning, thus that makes sense of reality. Basically, your conscious mind is dead. You're living on subconscious programs, and you can't stop them because the conscious part that is supposed to put the brakes on things isn't there. These people are living in fight or flight all the time because they're terrified, right? And so the another thing that's very common with them is called Capgras syndrome, where they don't have emotional connections with people. I had one guy come in and thought that he had 7 different wives, kicked the real wife out when she was like buck naked in the shower, right? Was going to kill her, and he would have, because there's no emotional connection anymore. Whatever's happening inside the system, and it's all socially engineered. When I started my nursing career, you never saw the dementias that I see now. This is poisoning and lifestyle, right? There is absolutely no safe quantity of alcohol. None of it. It's all a neurotoxin, basically toxic to neurons. When you're younger, you can kind of get away with it because you have a larger, but as you start burning them out, 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 it's not good. And I see an entire segment of society that is completely captured. Basically, they've hollowed out the brain and now they're going to implant whatever they want. And so the sleep apnea little thing that you put on, it constantly monitors you with Bluetooth. So you're hooked up to the Wi Fi. They'd never, ever try to implant things in your mind, would they? They wouldn't mind control you, would they? Of course they would. These are dual use. These are weaponry. These were all created. All these things are dual use. So they can be used for good if that's the way the world would like to be, right? I mean, it's still not giving you any kind of health teaching on a healthy lifestyle. It's just slapping a fucking machine on you so it can monitor you, learn from you, because AI is learning from you at every second of every moment of every day, right? So it can mind control you because they don't want you to think as a free willed human being. They want you completely subdued. Just look around. Look around. I read something yesterday uh, about a guy that I follow on Facebook about this is not normal. Normal ended in 2020. They have done something. They have completely destroyed the societies that we knew and rebuilt into this machine like, because it's like a machine. It's not as bad here. It is here. I'm not saying that it's everywhere, right? The machine does where you see people out on their horses or on their bicycles, right? Or Aboriginal people living in what you would think is destitute poverty. So, it really is everywhere. And it behooves us to wake up and speak our truth. And for anybody that drinks a lot of coffee, is smoking the weed, is drinking alcohol, you need to take a look at it. It was about, I quit I think it was 32, quit smoking when I was 31, and then quit drinking when I was 32. And I just basically stayed away from people. I had to create a whole different life. It was the best thing I ever did, right? I never am regretful that I quit drinking and smoking and the lifestyle that I led there. and that I started, working out. And it was about 3 months after it was about 3 months after I quit drinking that it really hit me how that person that was drinking all the time really was not me. Even when I was sober, I did things that I would never do. And there's some that say the name spirits is because it opens portals and negative things, and I would tend to agree with that. And that's not because I read it in a goddamn book or heard it from an influencer or, it's my own personal experience with this. I would say number one, that and coffee, most used mind control substance that really does destroy human beings. I'll tell you one more little story from my friend who works here about a handsome looking man. Had two beautiful wives. They both divorced him, right? Because of his drinking, because he drinks and drinks and will do anything for the drink. What is that? It is self sabotage. It is programming by a group of monsters. We are ruled by monsters that we put up on pedestals. They're monsters. They should be banished from this earth and away from human beings. Anything that tries to kill the divine spark is by nature evil, right? And that's all they do, those politicians. I don't care who they are. It is to destroy the divine spark of you and make you compliant to what they want so that they can actually profit off of it. And we're moving into the Hunger Games society, right? That if you don't comply and get the digital this and the that, you won't be part of society. You won't be able to play, right? So I hope that this bifurcation that is happening, because it will continue to happen until people stop and wake up. I don't think a huge amount of society will, to tell you the truth, but there is a segment of society that is. So, for your mental health and moving forward, really look at what the damage of some, and look it up. You can research this shit online about how your frontal lobe and hippocampus and the amygdala, all the different parts of your brain, right? The conscious and subconscious mind, how that really is, who you are. And that they're trying to steal that from you. As Georges Moulou said in Rape of the Mind, it's mind rape. It's violation of the mind without your permission. You should be absolutely outraged, right? We need to take that anger, that simmering anger that's everywhere, and direct it towards the people that deserve it. Not your neighbor, not your friends, not this, not your family, right? For whatever, some kind of thought in your mind that somehow they've wronged you. It's just a division tactic, right? And that old people are stupid. No, we're not. Maybe they're stupid old, they're stupid everywhere. Stupid seems to be a default fucking mode setting now. But if you can't discuss things, right, because you have, what can I say, this conceived notion of who that person is, well, then you can't learn anything. I've learned some of the greatest things I've ever learned from older people, from listening to their stories, right, of what they've been through. If you think in your arrogant little mind that has been programmed into you that you know everything, well, then you'll never listen to people and you'll never learn anything. If you think that old people are just stupid and they're there just to be, built-in babysitters or to give support, that they're not people in their own right, well, then the problem lies with you. So, Canada, you know what? Get up off your fucking knees, put your elbows down, and start making a noise about this with your local, politicians. They're trying to take away your gas-powered vehicles. That's hence why the prices. It's all by design. It's not just a fluke. So, that's my 25 cents worth, 50 cents worth. How I'm feeling today about what I see in this. I feel sorry for this one fellow, Mark Friesen, part of the Freedom Convoy, that got COVID. Is it really COVID? What is COVID? Since most people believe in the sort of thought that viruses don't really exist, this was something else, right? It was not a virus. Are viruses really real? Do they cause the damage? Or is it what they give us for the supposed viruses? Okay, take care on this Friday. Have a good weekend.